Yeah, I see
Yeah.
it.
All right. So the most popular corner is the 4-4 corner. Why do we play on corners first? Does any DDK want to give the reason?
Easier to make territory there.
Yep. So you need the least number of stones to get territory in the corners, followed by sides, then followed by the center. And a 4-4 is a balance between both I want territory and I want influence.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
So there are two major approaches that you would end up seeing against the 4-4. One would be this. The other would be sorry. The other would be this. I've not really seen many other approaches. There are some cases where you see an approach like this or like this, but that's less common, honestly.
those are situational.
Yeah. So I think I can go through the 3-3 invasions. There are a couple of ideas that Black has.
Just
Uh,
show them one most common one. This is for a DDK person.
so the most standard approach or the
You missed one push.
something like this. Basically, the sequence doesn't matter that much. You normally play one push first and then you come back and do this. But what I wanted to point out based on the discussion that we just had is this is basically the L+1 shape, L+2 shape, which is kind of why we get this confidence that white is definitely going to be alive out here. If there's
But
a
it's the
situation,
L+2 only if you
sorry,
connect, right? It's the L+2 only if you connect.
it's the L+2 only if you connect, but this is effectively connected.
Yeah.
There's
Because
no,
black can't cut them.
yeah. In fact, it's
Yeah,
slightly
that's my
more
point.
I-shaped than L+2.
Okay, so what are both sides trying to do with this? Over here, black wanted to keep some of the corner and wanted to keep influence. And white says, I'll take your corner, but I'll give you even more influence.
Sorry.
So this is the trade-off that both of them are making. I take the corner, you take more influence.
So basically, as a result of this, black has a big wall, which black can kind of build. Maybe this is not even big enough. Maybe black can even go.
Yeah, if black has stone on the top,
Wait, it's white center, right? Actually, but yeah.
So
uh,
question I always had with the 4-4 and then the 3-3 invasion after that is, so if suppose black plays 4-4 and or anybody plays 4-4 and the opponent plays a 3-3, is it a given that this is the Joseki that would
No.
basically the corner
No.
is for the white, the black
No,
is
no, no. So that's actually the second thing that I wanted to show out here. So this is the sequence of black is saying, yes, I'm fine with influence. I would like to have more potential territory on the top left. And white is
So
saying,
black would play
great,
this.
I want the corner.
Yeah, black would
If
play this
black-
if black had more stuff on the top.
Yeah. And so this is actually the deciding point where black says, you know what, I want the outside. What happens is if black plays this is again the standard variation for black to say, you know what, I'm not going to give you the corner.
I'll try to
So
make
what
it
black does
small
is
and
black
I'll try to
double
pull you
harness.
inside.
oh yeah, okay, I've seen this. Yeah.
And what's the obvious response out here? I mean, where is the weakness in black's shape?
You can cut.
I don't see coordinates in this. 1 second.
That must be another
Yeah.
setting.
Okay. So white will play out here because this allows this weakness and white gets gets to potentially escape out. But what black can do out here is black can Atari out here. White will be forced to capture and then black takes the ball.
So actually, could you just go back a couple steps?
So if you see this final situation,
Okay,
black
so
have the
white-
corner and black has.
So let's say black plays at S16.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying white's forced to capture.
Yes. What should white do
So
instead?
white's in Atari.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So white can potentially try to do something like this, but then the corner is still black. And then white doesn't have anything on this outside also.
Okay.
So this will be like much, much worse for white. So generally what white recognizes out here, see, there is another sequence out here. Again, at the end of the day, it's a trade-off. White can say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something like this. This is also actually alive.
And now black is
Because
forced to stay save his weakness.
yeah, exactly, and black's forced to defend its weakness. But then the corner is incredibly small in this situation. So even if black really wanted the corner, this might not be necessarily a bad trade-off for black.
So Shashwat, actually, in this circumstance, on my video, so this can happen sometimes. The move at Q18, white can play it if it believes the top side to be important. It's a slightly more complex variation. So after that, after
White
black
does
answers
this Hane, right?
P18, no, white cuts at P17.
P17.
That's
P17.
important. The sequence is important. So
Okay.
black doesn't want to Atari at R18 right now. It seems like the obvious thing to do to Atari at R18, right? So
But
if black
then what?
is it, then white has a double
Right.
Atari.
Mhm.
And so sure, black gets a Ponuki on the first line, but white also gets a Ponuki facing the center. So black will first fix that weakness.
Right.
Right.
So
So
why did
black
black look like this?
white takes the Ponuki at O18. Because remember, white did this because white believed the top side to be important. That's why white's doing this. So black cuts at R18 now, white take, and black kills the corner. So this is the traditional Joseki, where you're getting strength on the top side for white and sacrificing the corner and some influence on the right hand side. But this is a special case situation. This doesn't happen very often. It's not considered all that good for white, because all white gets is a Ponuki, which is not bad. But black gets a huge corner, right? You can see the power of this corner, and black influence also quite good. So this is not.
For the DDKs, this is a Ponuki. Ponuki is basically a shape like this, where a stone died in the center. But yeah, I think this makes sense. White's trying to get something in the corner, but it's not a great exchange for white. Most likely, I'm guessing if white wanted something in the corner, white wouldn't have gone for the corner invasion. White would have probably.
The previous variation has a little more interesting things to see also, right? No. Go back. Not that one. Do the double Hane. Cut. Kill. Then it is Sente. Take it. It is Sente, right?
It's not Sente. Black has to connect out here.
So it's no. Then better to go up, because if he can get one stone down there up, then he has to kill.
I didn't understand.
Go play Q16. No, not that one. Play Q16. Q14. Yes. So many weak players will now play P15. Like if the white can play P16, then it is in trouble. Yes.
So we are saying if white gets a move here.
Yes.
No, but then white needs like a third move out here for there to be trouble, right?
Yes. This is what I'm saying.
But that's two different Enokis.
Sometimes it happens that a weak player misses this out and it becomes a forcing move.
Very possible, yes. So I think what Suprati is basically saying is that these two stones that are there out here, they aren't fully useless in the sense exactly what our current also saying. They basically have some sort of Aji, which can be which can be.
So for the DDKs, what do you mean by
another
Aji?
move out here.
So Aji means some sort of potential that a group has. The stone itself may be dead, but you could do something to give the opponent Kira. If I do this, then you have to respond or you'll be in trouble somewhere down the line.
I think Aji is a Japanese word. Kou, do you want to explain the meaning of the word Aji?
Aji is basically taste. It is when you say food, then you say there is a Aji means in actual Japanese word it is a taste. There is a good taste in it. So I think there is a relation with that Aji to this thing. Kosan, so this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Aji is basically taste.
So, but does it refer to good taste or bad taste? Because the way I've always understood Aji is like, this position is leaving a bad taste in the mouth.
No. It can be good and bad.
I mean, if it is good for you, it must be bad for the opponent. I mean, it's good for
Exactly.
So if white plays in this, Joseki, if white plays at Q14, does black then have to respond? Because otherwise, white
Yes.
could...
Otherwise, P14 is quite severe. I mean, the sequence would likely be.
Has to respond.
Okay, so we have only covered C3 till now. Yes, let's show one sequence
No, that
of
is
the
too.
normal. So let's show the DDKs, a normal sequence that happens in almost all games.
Hey, with the AI revolution, 3-3 is happening in all games now.
Yeah, they don't need to know that yet till they get to 5K.
Okay.
Guys, it might be useful to point out a 3-3 variation where black ends up in Sente. I think might be very, very useful for DDKs, right?
3-3 variation where black ends up in Sente.
Yeah, if you don't Hane there, if black extends,
That's a AI Joseki.
Yeah, it's AI.
black extends and then white knights.
I think this is traditionally Sente for.
No, but AI Joseki
No,
is
this is also Sente for white. Sorry.
No, not this one, Shashwat. Go back.
The AI Joseki is very interesting.
Which one's the AI Joseki? This one.
No, yes. Put one more stone. Put one more white stone. Continuous. No, that is safe. Then you play yes, Hane. And then you put the R18 Hane. No. Don't extend. Okay. Then he cuts and then put 15.
This one.
Yes. So he has to kill that.
You need to double
he
Hane
has
for
to
this.
kill that. Then you put Hane. Once he kills, you strengthen your this thing. So you get the full side.
But that's still Gote.
Yeah.
So if he kills that, you still your outside is very strong now. This is AI Joseki.
Okay. But that's not Sente.
Shashwat, I think we're going to find that this is a bit hard for DDKs to follow.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The number of variations from here is quite high. What I would recommend is, we should probably teach the easiest variation possible. Where, if you want to talk about Sente, etc., then the easiest variation for both parties where black gets Sente. And that to me, I mean, even as a Dan level player, to me, the easiest variation, and I always play it, is just no B. So the black variation at Q15. So white no B.
Yeah,
black.
Exactly. This is what I was talking about.
That's
black
it.
Q15 and then our knights move and that's it. Yeah. Now black ends up with Sente.
And there's a lot of follow-up even here. This is not the end of Joseki. I mean, there's a lot of mid-game stuff, even early opening stuff that you can do around here. But once again, for DDKs, that would be quite complex. But suffice to say, white got some points in the corner. You can think of it that way. Black got some influence. And, life moves.
White gets a starting on the bottom side, but black gets a lot of, strength on the top left side.
Yeah. And AI prefers this variation. It seems from some analyses, it looks like this is one of the most preferred, most played AI variations. Where if AI is playing,
this is the most popular AI variation.
Yeah.
Interesting. AI probably cares a lot more about Sente. Okay. By Sente, obviously, we're talking about initiative. The person who's controlling where the next big move is going to be played. Basically, it's black's turn. That's what I mean when I refer to Sente.
Who are the DDKs now on this place in our group now?
I think we have. Let's go through the entire list. There are a lot of. Oh wait, Rishabh, you've raised your hand. I just realized.
Yes, sir. DDKs, just raise your hand. That will be easier to count.
No, I remember.
Yeah. I also noticed Kosan was trying to say something. I don't know if he got a chance to say it. We should find a way to get everyone to speak.
Yeah, Kosan, can you? Maybe we should request Kosan to say something.
You're on mute, Ko.
Chico, hi.
ごめんなさい。Would you please
こんにちは。僕は
translate?
通訳します。
ごめんなさい。質問を教えてほしいです。
なんか話してください。
何の話ですか？この AI について。
例えば、そうじゃなくて、私たちの活動を見てどんな気持ちとか。
皆さんとても基礎がしっかりしてらっしゃいますね。定石
He
の
is
詳し
saying that everybody is very strong and doing quite well.
Akshay, when did you become a DDK?
I'm on the edge.
Hey, that doesn't count. Put your hand down. That's not allowed.
Okay.
Akshay is like 9Q. He's exactly at the borderline.
Yeah, but I'm 9Q on correspondence.
I'm really surprised to you you know always AI Joseki very well. I really surprised.
No. It's only because all of us are together. I personally don't know it very well. But me plus Karan plus Gokul make a good team.
I came to know Joseki, AI Joseki recently.
Yeah.
Because a lot of news came on interesting games with AI Joseki.
Yeah, in the interest of full disclosure, so I recently joined this school called the Yunguseng Dojang.
Oh, are you a part of that school?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I am attending.
I wanted. So
how
much
is your
about
experience there, Gokul? Tell us.
It's quite an amazing experience. I mean, the sensei there is his name is Inseong Wang.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Inseong is either the best or the second best player in Europe. So he's really strong. He's so strong that he's an amateur. He doesn't play as a professional, but I think he's probably equivalent to like a 5-dan professional or something like that. And he's definitely stronger than a 7-dan. So they call him an 8-dan here in Europe, as almost as an honorary thing, I think. So he's quite strong. I mean, certainly way stronger than me. So to me, I can't distinguish between a 9-dan professional and him. To me, they're both like really, really exceptionally good, right? So I learned from him. So the way the class system works there is you play a game. Every month you play 5 games, 1 game per week. One of the weeks you play 2 games. And then Inseong or one of the other players. The other player is actually the European top player. His name is I can't remember the name now. But those guys are really strong. So they review your game and they'll tell you about all aspects of the game: opening, mid game, end game, and the attention to detail is mind bending. Like basically in a single day, Incheon will typically review like 7 or 8 games, and he goes through all 7-8 games, which are like not blitz games. They are 40 minutes games, 40 minutes Canadian time. And then he provides a review on all aspects of the game. So he's thought through, okay, this is a different way the game could have gone for each and every one of those games. And some of those games are quite complex because they're Dan level games themselves. So it's really quite impressive. And I used to be like a 2Q just a few months ago. 2Q, 2.5Q, 1Q, something like that. And very easily I became a Dan after going to that school. So it's for me, right, the part of the game that I enjoy is the mid game. So local attack, fighting, and whatnot. My weaknesses are Joseki. Like I don't know very many Joseki. And when I say that, I don't mean I don't know the basic Josekis. I just mean I don't know the super advanced variations and stuff like that. And my other weakness is life and death, and finally end game. So obviously there's a long way for me to go. Clearly, between 1-dan and 7-dan, etc., there's an exponential gap. So that's what I need to work on. But the Yunguseng Dojang, if you can afford it, it's expensive. I don't know how the payment works in India, but here in the Europe, it's like 250 euros for a 3-month season.
No, I think it's the same thing. I don't think they have different tiers.
So you were there for a season, Gokul?
So Gokul, where do you live?
I live in Cambridge, United Kingdom. Yeah. So,
but this is online, right? It's not physical class.
It is online. And there is a lecture. So every season, season is 3 months. And so you have a lecture. Every month you get 3 lectures. So total of 9 lectures per season. And they're fantastic quality. I mean, nothing like what you find on the internet. Like you will not find this stuff on YouTube. Especially some of the videos around local techniques like squeeze, wedge, peep. There are terms like barikomi, atekomi. You might have heard these terms on Sensei x.xmp.net or somewhere else. When you see them in action through dedicated lectures, it's really quite impressive. Even Joseki, the AI variations and whatnot, covered in great detail. So personally, my style of play has changed significantly in the last 2-3 months. It's become very attacking and whatnot. I used to be a very passive player by comparison. So if you can afford it, I highly recommend it. It's exceptionally good. And I will, if you're okay with it, once in a while, I will come and share something I'm learning as well with you.
Definitely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I remember one lecture of Jung-Sen Dojang that's available. I think I saw it on the website itself. He talks about this thing called big group is like a fish, and he gives a.
That's a famous
It's a
lecture.
very nice lecture, right? It's by him only. It's the same teacher.
Amazing lecture.
I saw one of their public lectures also. It was about techniques on life and death. So so normally what you see in Sumega books are all exceptional
Oh
cases.
yeah, the current you're talking about the 1-2-3 technique, right?
Yeah.
I saw that.
He used the 1-2-3 in that, but didn't explain what it was.
Oh, the 1-2-3 technique is absolutely the most mind-boggling thing I've ever learned in my life. It's such a simple technique, and I can't. In my games, I find it very hard to apply it. But sometimes Sensei will show it in the game review. Say all you have to do was a 1-2-3 reading here, and it's. I wish I had some SGFs prepared for it. Without preparation, it's a bit hard to explain it. But the basic idea of 1-2-3 reading is quite straightforward. One, the very first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, locally you are in a fight. You want to play some move. The very first thing that comes to your mind, maybe it's a Hane or maybe it's a Nobi, maybe it's a wedge, whatever it is. Don't play it just because it is the first thing that comes to your mind. It's 1. Note that it's 1, right? Now, if you played that 1, what is the best response your opponent can provide for that 1? Let's call it 2. Okay? Now, the 1-2-3 reading idea basically says that instead of playing 1, you directly play 2.
See.
So essentially, 2 becomes 1 is the move you think about. That's the most intuitive, natural, possibly wrong move, naive move. And then you think, what is the best response my opponent can provide? That's 2. And you say, oh, you know what? If 2 is so good compared to my 1, my naive move 1, then why should I play the naive move 1? Let me directly play move number 2. Let me play it instead of my opponent playing it. Then you keep extending this idea. Okay, if I play move number, that move that my opponent is supposed to play, but as a response to that, my opponent can play another move. That is brilliant. So now your third move becomes your, like 1, the new 1. So what is the counter that your opponent can provide? The new 2. And then so on and so forth. So in complex sequences, you can decompose it as a sequence of 1-2-3 readings. Essentially, 1-2-3 reading, the power of it comes from its simplicity. It's not something fancy. What it is saying is that think 1 move ahead. Don't think very far. You don't have to read like a sequence that is 20 moves long. Just read 1 move ahead. For example, how do I show it? Maybe let me show it via life and death example.
Sure. You want to share a screen, Gokul, or you want me to?
Yeah, let me share my screen and create an example on the fly because I wish this goes well. I don't know how to create new. I mean, if you're expecting something magical, you won't find it. This is exceptionally simple idea. But it is exceptionally powerful. That's why I love it. Okay, so let's take this example where so again we start with the standard 4-4, right? This is such a common move in the corner. White approaches and say black pincer. White goes to the corner. Such a standard Joseki variation where white, essentially what white's saying is I want the corner. You can take some influence on the outside. So let's imagine that black plays this way. Normally black has two options. Either it can cut like that. So this is a common sequence you may have seen, where white attempts to connect from below and white then defends. So white gets points in the corner and then black can play for the outside, maybe, something like that. But sometimes when, say, black already has a stone, out here, and then when white approaches, so black may want to build some influence on the left-hand side. So you may have seen a sequence that looks something like this one.
Yes.
It's also one of the introductory, intermediate / beginner level Josekis that I learned, at least when I was a beginner. So okay, so cool, awesome. So let's proceed. White plays elsewhere. Black plays Hane and connect, which is a good endgame move. And white plays this, which is quite big. Later black comes to play this move. Okay. And white tenukis again. And say something like this one. Cool. And white tenukis again. So black to play. Where should black play?
My instinct is T17.
T17. So that's your instinct. Okay.
S15 would be a normal follower.
Then?
Go inside.
When you say go inside, can you tell me the coordinate?
R15.
That one. Okay.
This is a life.
Yeah.
So you can probably take 2 stones. Fine. Okay. Cool. But you still let most of the corner live, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that let's call that a failure, because the goal was to kill the entire corner. We may even consider that white can even just block, possibly. Right? So like that. So in fact, nothing dies that way. So this doesn't work.
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is then to try out T18,
15.
which was the response to
Exactly.
T7.
Exactly. So the way to think about it is now, where is these buttons? Yeah, 1. So first you thought about this move. Your opponent responded with this one. So you say, you know what? No. I'm going to play that one instead. So 3 is equal to 2, like that. Okay. So, okay, let's go back to our 1, 2, 3 reading and say, okay, let's play that. White played elsewhere. And black plays this one. Now white plays this one. Again, doesn't really help. Because no matter what you play, white can get a second die right here. Right?
Yes.
Okay, those two don't work basically. They just don't work. So normally when you're in life and death situations, you want to try to approach from the outside because you want to minimize the eye space. So you don't want to play moves on the inside because, moves like that, if they don't work, you're essentially just losing points and your opponent is gaining stones on the outside, which is not, normally it's a bad exchange to make like that. So normally what we recommend is, even if you can't kill your opponent's group, it is better to play from the outside. So your first instinct might be to play this move, to play from the outside and reduce the eye shape. You are hoping that if something like this happens, then maybe I can do something with this group, right? Maybe I can play this move. Now what happens? Now white, it's a little difficult, right? What happens now?
White needs to cut, I guess.
Right. So white pretty much is dead, right? So this way white dies. And this way, if a cut happens, no big deal. Again, white's just dead. So, okay, so this doesn't work for white. So what can white do? White can try this one.
Black
So
needs to
T15.
Connect.
Black needs to connect.
black just
Connect, yeah.
pretty much,
Yes,
and you
did.
can see that
Did.
this eye is a false eye. So eventually white will have to come connect here. So once again, white is dead, isn't it? So white knows that this move, which traditionally looks acceptable, doesn't quite work. But in this situation, white has a clever move. White can play this move. Because now
Which
white
is
is
what
doing
black
1 to 3
played.
reading. White is doing 1 to 3 reading. It's saying, look, if I play 1, black plays 2. So let me skip all that. Let me play here. So now what can black do? Can black do anything? If black plays here, white gets 1 eye and 2 eyes. If black plays something like that, it doesn't matter because white can always live in the corner. I'm not even playing an optimal move here. I'm just trying to show that white is alive in the corner. Or this one, this one. So once again, once white plays this move, white is unkillable. It's pretty much alive, right? So black extends the idea and says, oh, what happens if I do the 1 to 3 reading? 1, 2. Okay, let me play that directly. 3. So this is the answer to the question. This kills the entire white group. So we can, we can see what happens. So if white plays something like this, then there is nothing. Not that. Wait.
Yeah, I think.
No, I did this. No, it's not that.
So thanks to Kosan, we'll be getting a 6 Dan joining us soon. Maybe for a few minutes. His name is Gunji. So maybe
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
ask him
18
after this.
T18 would be good. T18 would be good. Yes.
T18 is core, right?
Go connect.
It's
T18 is
Seki.
core. T18 is not live.
It's Seki.
T18 you connect.
No, T8 is live. Okay.
T18 is live, and then
Seki.
it's kind of a
Seki.
It's kind of Seki, right? So actually, black will have to play here and play this.
But that's a ko.
That's a ko, exactly. That is indeed a ko. But I think what maybe we should do is maybe we should just avoid that exchange. Let me play this directly.
No, that doesn't work. Because white will play S16 and then T15.
Wait, what am I missing here? It seems odd. Wait a minute.
No, this
That doesn't work. Okay, I think maybe the problem is slightly off. I think black needs a liberty off on the outside.
Yes, now it is dead.
yeah, now it works. Yeah, I think the problem had too much eye space and liberties for
It
white.
has too much liberty. So now if this happens, then for sure this is dead.
Yeah.
And so white can't do that. So say white does this one. So once again, black can do this and then squeeze. So now white can't connect. It's a connect and die. That doesn't work. And this again doesn't kind of work. Because that eye is a false eye, right? So essentially the idea behind the 1 to 3 reading, I did a shoddy job of demonstrating it. My apologies. I'm not a trained trainer. But essentially the idea you might have seen several times. We started by saying black plays here, white plays here. So black should maybe try this one. But then white plays here. So that doesn't work. So we said, okay, we should always try to do life and death by killing from the outside, by surrounding, because Go is a surrounding game, right? So black plays here. But what happens if white plays here? White's alive. So 1 to 3 reading again demonstrates black must play here. Well,
What if we play S15? What if we play S15?
S15 is
no, sorry, from the beginning.
if we play
not the-
S15, once again you pretty much play the same move.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't work anymore.
How?
White's alive.
So what
How's white
would
alive?
black play now?
Probably S16.
Then R15.
S16, then
No, but then it's an Atari.
R15.
Oh,
R15 means S17 Atari, right?
okay, right, sorry.
so wait, R15 means S17 Atari.
We will be losing all of our
Yeah,
DDK.
white goes in Atari if black plays S17 after R15.
So I think this might be the correct response, but then
I think this probably is the correct response in this case. I'm not super sure. Or what happens if I just connect? Sorry, I'm a bit silly. What happens if I just connect? So then,
yeah, then white lives. Correct. White can just push S16.
white shouldn't push because there is a co.
Oh, okay, right.
So white should play this move. Black cannot push because this kills. So black needs to connect. White connects, black connects, and white lives. So this move generally doesn't work. So if black tries something like that, then also it doesn't work because this Atari kills the two black stones. So in general, I think it's useful to know this as a standard shape, wherein if this happens, then pretty much white needs to play a move. Otherwise, it's only alive in co. And if black takes this move and white doesn't play, then by playing here, black can kill. And we arrived at this not by prior knowledge of Joseki or.
But a done player will always sometime allow you to kill that and take the space outside and win the game.
Totally.
You start killing a small group and they'll capture rest of the board and win the game.
Totally, that's possible. But I
you are giving so many days in the.
That's why I gave the disclaimer that I'm not a trained coach. You know, there are significantly better examples, but this is something that I remembered off the top of my head for 1, 2, 3 reading. Next time, maybe when I come, I'll come a bit more prepared on some better examples. But there are quite brilliant examples on 1, 2, 3 reading.
Quick question. Are you supposed to do this in a live game or is it for correspondence? Because this doesn't seem like...
I think
these games are only...
To me, right, this is a...
Somebody's asking some question.
Yeah, we'll come to that, Supratik. Let's answer Pranay's question first, then we'll answer Rishabh's question.
Yeah. Sorry, was it about this one, Pranay? This problem?
Gokul, Pranay is asking about how much of this should we do in a live game?
Yeah, because reading a few steps might take like quite a bit of time, it seems.
Yeah. So it all depends on your level and comfort. See, to a 9-dan professional, this is they have played this so many times. They know it. They have memorized this shit. They don't need to read. Like anybody, like even for me, I mean, at my own level, I just see it, I play here instantly. Simply because I happen to know this, not because I'm a genius, right? So that's the thing. The more and more you play games, you get game experience. What ends up happening is that things that were, computationally intensive, where you have to think every single time from scratch, they start to become second nature.
Yes, that is why I always play only live games. I am very bad in correspondence.
Right.
So it should be the other way around, Supratik.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you always have more time to read and...
No, but I love the intensity of that first game.
Yeah, same
That
here.
gives me the kick.
In fact,
Because I then instantaneously have to think of the territory which I'm going to this thing and see how the fights are going on, create traps, and very fast move decision-making power.
So
I love that. That's why.
For the dopamine hit, it seems.
Huh?
So Supratik, you're in this for the dopamine hit, it seems. But I really like the technique, Kokul. It reminded me of the proverb that the opponent's key point is your own. It's like an extension of that proverb.
Key point?
Essentially, it is that proverb, but I see it as actually two proverbs combined into one. And this is how Sensei taught it, and I remembered it for that reason. Is that basically what he said is, don't try to play a brilliant move. Don't try to be smart. Don't try to be brilliant. Just do the simplest thing first. So the simplest thing.
What I realized in Go game, it's always incremental. You do each mistake, you keep losing 5 points. So basically, it is a competition of mistakes.
Exactly. So your 1 in the 1 to 3 is the naive move. The first thing that comes to your mind, nothing fancy, straightforward. So that is point number 1. The next aspect of it, the 2-3 aspect of it, it's what you said. Your opponent's best move is your own best move. It's along
the best example would be if you are playing a game. In place of closing this thing, you should think of territory. Like if you are thinking of putting a side move, sometime a territorial move will much better than doing a corner move sometime. So it is always better to think what the other person will play next. Then you better play in that direction because he is getting a territory in that side. So better think of that rather than increase your territory in one side. Because once your group is alive, it's better to keep it there and see where the other person is making territory.
Right. All right. If there are any other questions on this, I'm happy to take. Others, I'll stop sharing and give back the screen to Shashwat.
Someone asked, how do you identify a false eye?
Yeah, I take that over.
Yeah. Cool.
So just a quick question that's come, so we'll address it immediately. So let's take a very simple shape. This is probably the simplest shape that you can get, Rishabh, from the point of view of whether this group is alive or dead. So we know for a fact this group is definitely alive. Is that correct? Because this group has two very clear eyes. By eyes, I'm talking about a place where my opponent cannot play. So if white tries to play, this is not allowed. This is not a legal move in reality. Neither is this, because in both of these cases, these are suicide moves. Now, let's try to reduce the number of black stones. What happens? 1 second. What happens if we remove this stone and place a white stone instead? Is black still alive? Yes, black is still alive because white still cannot play out here, and white still cannot play out here. Now let's try to remove another stone. Is black alive?
Yes.
Yes. Now let's try to take out a third stone. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that I don't take out any important stone like this. If I take out this stone, of course black is dead. Right? So I'm going to keep this stone here. I'm going to take out this stone. I'm going to place a white stone here. Now let me make this stone black again. So I'm just removing one stone out here now. Is this alive? That becomes the interesting question. The reason I'm asking this question is if you look at these 2 points, they have made sure that this group marked with stars is in Atari right now. Right? Because now in the game, if white plays here, white captures these 3 stones.
Shashwat, if I may interrupt, so usually to prevent a false eye, you should have kind of uninterrupted link within that with that 2 eyes.
No. That's not the requirement.
Or a section that white cannot take, right?
Correct. So I'll come to that right now. Okay, one thing. So what we've seen is if both of these points are gone, then it becomes a false eye because now white can capture it.
Yeah.
So the rule for an eye to become a real eye or a false eye is basically if I have 4 stones like this, and if I have these 4 points, if 2 of these 4 points are gone, then it becomes a false eye. I need at least 3 of these 4 points to be safe points. Safe point can mean there can be a black stone on them. Safe point can also mean that there is another eye out there. So now in this case, if you look at this eye, for example, these are the 4 points. So there is no black stone on this point, but it's a safe point. The one that I've marked with the triangle, it's a safe point because white cannot play there. In this case also, this group is unconditionally alive. That is how you identify a false eye versus a true eye. The moment you reach the situation where there are 2 of these 4 points are gone, then it is a false eye.
And so generally, these 2 points are called mi.
No, Supratik.
If white plays 1 point, you better play on the other point.
You should play on the other point, sure. Okay.
That's called mi.
Right. But the core concept is that you need 3 out of these 4 points to make it an eye. Obviously, I'm not even looking at these squares, because if this is not there, then it's not even a potential eye. Because if there is a stone out here, then you can't really call this an eye, right? So you have to have 4 black at least, and 3 out of these 4 have to be safe areas. Does that answer your question, Rishabh?
Yeah. So there are 20 people now in the group now talking.
There are 20 people in our group right now. There are 35 to 40. No, I think 40 to 45 people active
so we have
in the
50% attendance.
Yes.
So, Shashwat, does that mean Ponuki, you have to play 3 more moves to make it a solid eye?
If you're in that situation, yes. Generally, the reason a Ponuki is powerful, exactly. The reason a Ponuki is powerful is because you can, strengthen from it. You don't necessarily have to make a Ponuki into an eye. But if, for example, you're in a situation where you're in the corner and you're surrounded by a lot of white stones, then, this is a very exaggerated scenario actually. Let me make it slightly easier. Then it would be important. So let's take this as an example. This is a simple enough example. Here, it is very important for white to play, for whoever's turn it is, let's say it's black's turn, black to play here to live.
Still, it is not live.
It's still not fully alive, actually, right? Yeah.
You can.
Now, so let's assume this is the. Yeah.
So now it is alive. If black plays that.
Yeah. So now in this situation, it's important for black to play here and recognize that this Ponuki or this is not an eye yet. Because, like we discussed earlier, only 1 and 2 points are safe. This point is not safe, which means to make it an eye, this point needs to be made safe.
And in this particular case, it is S4 and not the other point, right? Because if you place it in the other point, you could still lose the top black stone.
That's still 2 points, right? I'm saying that this Q2 point is already safe. Q2 point you don't need to worry about.
Okay.
Because like we defined safe out here, right? In the top left corner. Safe does not mean a stone should be there. Safe means white should not be able to play there safely.
Okay.
Which is why the only move that will make black live out here is this one. Actually, no, this is a quote. Okay. Yeah, this is the only way to make black live unconditionally.
And I suppose if the black didn't have the additional support of the Ponuki, if it were a pure Ponuki, then pretty much it's dead, right? In that same scenario.
Yes, kind of. It would depend on the scenario.
Okay.
But yeah. Does that answer your questions about false eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
The key to mind with respect to eyes and false eyes is that you couldn't. It is not possible to like put a simple closed form equation to say, okay, follow this rule to create real eyes and follow this rule to create false eyes. You can read about, what's the definition of a false eye. False eye, actually, the term false eye is a false term, in my opinion. It's just something we use once in a while to talk, but a false eye is not an eye. It's not an eye. What's not an eye is not an eye, right? So it's just something that let's put it this way, it's a mistake that beginners make to assume, oh, I have an eye there, I'm good. I made that mistake. Back when I was at DDQ, there was this godsend who came in on OGS. His name was SAI. I still don't know who that person is. I don't know if that's a real person or I don't know who that is. But he was a 4Q at the time and I was like 18Q. And he agreed to play even games with me. And he played with me. And basically he killed me everywhere. I was dead all over the board. And what happened is there was a big group that I had created. And I thought to myself, that's alive. I've created 2 eyes. Because that was a time when I just learned what is an eye. So I thought I can see a big hole out there and I can see a big hole out there. That's an eye. That's an eye. Holes are eyes. Done. And I was very happy. And in the end, I kept playing till the last move. Because at the time in Go, I didn't even understand when the game is supposed to end. So I kept playing. And then my opponent explicitly demonstrated to me by filling out all the liberties that, look, I'm dead. And that's when I got it. So essentially, it was never an eye to begin with. But it appeared like an eye to me because I'm a beginner. So we call such an eye a false eye because it was never an eye, but a beginner might look at it and say, oh, that's a hole, that's an eye. So what I would recommend is that if you really want to get proficient at spotting false eyes, there is no shortcut except to do a lot of Sumego. You have to do, you could start with maybe the Cho Chikun's Encyclopedia of Sumego, which I noticed that on the Telegram group, you folks are posting it very systematically. That's a great way to do it. But do a lot of Sumegos. Like every day, wake up, maybe have a system where in the morning, the first thing you do is solve 5 Sumegos or 10 Sumegos, or just night before you go to sleep, solve 5 or 10 Sumegos, something like that. And don't pick up something that's too hard, something that you just demotivates you, right? Pick something that's easy, something you can understand. Try to solve it. If you can't get it in like 10 minutes, look up the solution. It's fine. And keep doing that over a period of time, you'll start to see false eyes. You'll start to see that, I'm not going to get fooled this time. I see that's a false eye. You'll see it. So there's no shortcut. Do a lot of Sumegos. That's my learning, at least.
Yeah, I've been following that like from past 3 days. I started with the Chochukun's Live in Their Dictionary, as well as another library. I started Franca's library, like it's for beginners. Both of them are quite helping a lot.
Right. Cool.
Thank you.
Morning, I get up and I do the Sumego, Beergo, Sumego, and the Panda net. These 3 I do. Panda net is very interesting because they sometimes give very interesting problems. Panda net also. And especially the one with snapback, where you think you died and then snapback you win. Those are very interesting.
Snapbacks are like not recommended for DDKs, right? Like unless they have a good understanding of the game. I'm just assuming.